Jackson and Jason Lloyd were separated at birth.
Twinsies.
We got to stop at this.
This is totally unplanned.
Yeah. Well, I joked off the air that our wives bought the exact same shirt from Costco for us, so we do have identical matching shirts.
We do. At
You
least
guys are
one.
living parallel lives.
These are not identical. They're pretty close.
least they're close.
They're
Very
pretty
close. Yeah, they're very, very close. Zach Jackson's here to educate us on the Cleveland Browns. I asked Zach a question in the break because I genuinely want the answer to it, because everything I'm hearing about one Deshaun Watson is he cannot play football anymore.
That's right.
So I'm of the mindset, get your best 53 out there. Is he going to make the roster? Could they cut him if they wanted to?
They cannot. Right now, they have about $27 million in free cap space, and it would cost them $41 million almost in dead money to cut.
So they'd be $14 million over the
right.
cap.
So it just can't happen.
So he is on this roster one way or another. He is going to dress.
The only way that would happen is if they went down the road and near the trade deadline, created more cap space and then wanted to do that. But
wow,
you wouldn't. Really
now you're saying that he absolutely is not a playable option. So that leaves us with, and I know the rookie is there, but that basically leaves us with the two guys that were drafted 2 drafts ago.
Yes.
In Sheduer Sadners and Dillon Gabriel.
Yes.
Of those two, I've within the last week starting to hear whispers about Dillon Gabriel. Is it possible that he ends up being the answer?
Well, 7 days into camp, anything's possible. We're in that phase. Is he the answer? No. Is he going to play this year? It's starting to look like it. If Watson's unplayable, then Dillon Gabriel is untradeable because you have to have guys.
You need a backup.
So Taylor Green, let's start there. He's clearly making progress, but Jay, I think this is more year zero, and next year's his rookie year.
Oh, okay.
He's around. They're developing him. He's getting very few real chances. He's in all the meetings. When he goes out there for his 3 or 5 plays, you see he's feeling better, but he's not in the mix. They're getting the older quarterbacks ready to play. So Watson and Sanders are still alternating every day. It's not been great. I think Sheduer on accuracy has clearly outperformed Deshaun Watson. I think you could fairly say that Sheduer is leading, but not winning. Does that make sense?
I get it. Yes. If someone has to be one, someone has to be 1A.
Yes.
If you were filling out the depth chart right now, and we were days away from the opener, your depth chart would look like what?
Undoubtedly, Sheduer would be number one.
Undoubtedly.
And Dillon would probably be number 2 because I view Watson as unplayable. And I've viewed it for months as the worst idea possible to even go back there. I started to force myself to see what the new coach might be thinking. But when you watch practice, Jay, he's just not doing anything well.
One more question. If they put Taylor Green on the practice squad, he could be poached.
He could.
Correct?
Yes.
So does that mean you put Taylor Green 3 and you put Deshaun Watson on the practice squad?
No, you can't. That's cutting it.
You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Wow.
You can't
So they would face a scenario where Green could be taken.
And I mean, even if they eventually wanted to cut Watson, you wouldn't, because you would keep the cap money because you would just roll it over, which is what they do. So,
wow.
Yeah, I don't know what will happen with Taylor Green, active roster practice squad. He's the typical guy that would play in the preseason and just let him learn, but you have to get the other guys ready. So I'm not sure how much of it all. I think probably in one of the 3 preseason games you'll see Taylor Green, but I'm not sure of that.
Jay, how much of that do you agree with? Do you
All
disagree? All of it. You're right on. Guys, you guys are twins.
I mean, I've said for months, if you're going to make me pick between Deshaun and Sheduer, there's no comparison.
Right. You got to start the kid.
It's Sheduer.
Yeah.
It's Sheduer every time. I don't think either one of them are the long-term solution.
Right.
But you gun to the head, you got to put somebody out there. Somebody's got to take the snaps.
Someone has to do it.
In terms of Dillon Gabriel, I know he's going up against more of the threes, but there has been some momentum, and it just can't install parts. Do you think what you've seen from Dillon Gabriel is a significant step from what we saw from Dillon Gabriel last year? Like, does it look like he's actually made improvements, or is this just he's going against a third-string defense that is clearly not up to the same par as the first and second?
I haven't thought of it that way. It's an interesting one. He had some really bad practice days last year, but this year, the last 3 practices in particular, the smoothest operation has been when he's out there.
Wow.
Like yesterday, both with Watson and with Sheduer, like Todd Monken blew the whistle, get back in the huddle. Somebody's not in the right place. Like one, Sheduer was, I can only imagine it was a delay of game. I was at the other end. But and these things do happen, right?
Sure.
It's 6 days in. But yeah, I think it's like this. It's like, all right, some of this is not unexpected, some of this is growing pains, some of this is what's going on. But I think a fair question to ask without jumping to any conclusions is there an NFL starting quarterback on this roster? Because
There's going to have to be.
right. I do think, and I say that saying I do think Sheduer has made some improvement. I know that he's made some improvements from May to June to here. It's not showing up in every throw. It's showing up in one drill a day, 1 or 2 throws.
Is he
a day.
still holding the football too long?
I not as long. But
Not as long, but
not-
still too
yeah,
long.
and that's something we're not really going to see until we get into the live action. So
Right.
I think, and Todd Monken apparently said this on NFL Network yesterday, one's going to start one preseason game, one's going to start the second. That's not surprising. It's just head scratching. That's not strong enough. It's just maddening to watch Deshaun Watson at practice and think that they're still wasting their time, because they are wasting their time with every
So
rep
you
that
say
Deshaun
just
Watson
move
is out.
Gabriel up to 2, let him get the reps,
Absolutely.
and let Deshaun be what he is, and that's the 3.
Can I
It
ask,
should be the 4. It's been
Can't
that bad.
be.
can I ask what particular about Deshaun in practice has been that? I know you had no expectations coming in, but it sounds like it's been worse than even you could have thought. What about what you've seen from Deshaun in practice?
The
has been so
decision making
staggeringly bad?
slash accuracy. Like, he will make a good throw, and the next time it's into traffic every time. Like, he will leave the pocket and spot a guy and miss him by 6 yards, like over and over and over again. It continues to happen. Like, when he is in, the ball is not moving consistently. And there's a couple times, like a couple of days, he's had strong periods or strong 2 throws, and then it always ends in an interception or like a bad miss, and the group's off.
He threw a pick the other day, and I had my head turned. I was talking to somebody. I turned back to Zach, and I said, "Who picked that?" And he said, "Well, I forget who it was." He goes, "But 3 of them were there." Like, he threw it to 3 of them.
I saw that play on
It
social.
could have been any of the 3.
Now, is he legitimately getting booed at camp? Because I heard some folks saying yesterday, this is brutal. They're booing Deshaun Watson.
So yesterday was only the 3rd day the fans were there. It was the first day I heard a little bit of it. Now, maybe for 1 period or 2 was I in front of the fans. But I did hear one guy in particular saying, "Get off the field, don't come back." There was a little more color to it. And then there was a tweet making the rounds, and I think some people texted Mike. So I was only in front of the bleachers for 20-ish minutes.
Yeah.
But I definitely heard a couple of people just basically saying, and it was a light crowd. There was not a lot going on. So whatever was said in that stands was heard. There's no doubt about it.
Wow. Jay, we've talked about this problem and different scenarios ad nauseum.
Mhm.
I get it. If you were picking the starting quarterback right now and you're going with Sheduer, are we to the point where you're going to make Dillon the backup and you're putting Watson down to the 3? Are we there?
I mean, Dillon was, I said this yesterday, Dillon was drafted to be a long-term backup quarterback.
Right.
And you can argue the logistics or the logical reasoning behind taking a top 100 pick, using a top 100 pick on a backup quarterback.
Knowing he's going to be a backup.
Knowing how many holes were on this roster.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, they like Dillon. Like, they liked him last year. I think they still like him. They like him. I know a lot of other people don't. They do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Zach, we were joking at practice the other day, and Zach said, over under Dillon Gabriel, 1.5 games started this year. Are you taking the over the
I'd
under?
take the over on that.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
and that was
It's the Browns.
that was early before we saw where things stood with
When we felt
Deshaun.
comfortable that he was probably
Yeah,
going
I
to be
mean,
the 3.
remember a month ago, everybody assumed Dillon was not going to be on this roster.
Yeah.
So to lay it out here in a quick format, tomorrow is the last day of installation. Per the head coach, per the last day of everything's been scripted. We're running these 5 plays here. We're working on this day, right? And then Friday is a lighter practice, and Saturday is a full practice in pads. So we should be seeing a change. We should be seeing a leader emerge, a rep count change, more for this guy, maybe a planned experimentation here. But what we've seen, like, on the results says that, like, Deshaun is just making no progress and is doing you no good. So whether Sheduer's been good, great, or ugly, and I think, it's been mostly good with the exception of a few really bad periods, like, he should be the number 1 quarterback because it's time to embrace where you're going, which is away from the installation phase and more into the getting ready.
So is Sheduer winning it, or is Deshaun just losing it?
I think Sheduer is leading. I would hesitate to say Sheduer is winning.
No, but I think your question was, is Deshaun losing the job, or is Sheduer winning? Is that what you said?
yeah,
I thought that.
Yeah, Deshaun is losing it.
He's lost the job.
There can't be any faith. And we don't know what's said in the meetings, what's said in the huddle, but there can't be any faith from those players that he could take a 8-play drive and go score, because it doesn't happen at all.
I know this is the Browns, and in all likelihood, all 3 guys will start. I firmly believe that. I believe there'll be injuries. There'll be poor
Boy, if
play.
it's only 3, that'll be good.
Yeah, well, that's below the average.
Jeff Driscoll's out there somewhere.
If you look at those 3, barring this scenario, Deshaun gets some emergency action because that's where we are.
Yeah.
And him completely lighting it up. This feels like absolutely the last exit for him. This is it.
Sure. And it's been clear if he's going to relaunch his NFL career, if it's not going to be here. This team still owes him $80 million on the salary cap after this year, which is why they can't cut him, Jay, because it would all get accelerated. So he's not going to be here. He would have to play so well for it to even be considered. He's going to get post-June 1 released next year with his remaining money, and he's going to have a dead cap hit of $50 million. They're not going to pay him $30 more million on top of that, right? He shouldn't play for 30 seconds, and it's time for it to end.
Wow. In non-quarterback related news, and in a more positive note for the Cleveland Browns, it does seem like Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston, their top 2 receivers from this most recent draft, have kind of lived up to the hype early. And I know it's camp. I know it's an installation period. But, Zach, you wrote in your article this morning that they may have surpassed Jerry Jeudy as the de facto number 1 receiver on this team already. Both of them individually. How impressed have you been with those 2 in particular throughout the early parts of camp?
Well, speaking of money, Denzel Ward just takes Jerry Jeudy's lunch money every single day, every single drill. But Concepcion,
he takes a lot of people's lunch money.
Concepcion is he's really fast. He's not big. He's got to refine, but you see him get from here to here in a hurry. And Boston, he dropped a punt, he dropped a pass yesterday, but you noticed it only because of such an outlier. He was almost undoubtedly the best player of the spring, and through the first 5 days of camp, it's okay, who do you notice out there? Denzel Boston. I think McNeil Warren is changing that. I think Ward and Verse and Quincy Williams, guys who are established in this league to an extent, are standing out. But Concepcion and Boston have instantly upgraded this receiving corps. And for as ugly as yesterday's practice was, Concepcion wasn't in it. He was only doing drills because he's got a sore shoulder.
Right.
So, hey, maybe that's a part of it. Because this is a guy that's getting the ball and he's exploding for big plays.
Earl, you got a question for Zach?
Zach, every time I look up 41, Chase Edmonds out there making plays. Talk about Chase a little bit, and do you think he'll make this team?
Well, he is on his way to setting the all-time training camp record for interceptions. He had a pick 6 on Saturday that was created by McNeil Warren. On the last play of practice, Watson threw a wobbler, and he picked it off. And yesterday, he had an interception. I think it was a Dillon Gabriel. So he's got an uphill battle. He's the 6th safety, and only 4 or 5 are going to make it. But we'll see. This is a guy that's been around. They've kept on the practice squad. They've had to play him. And that's what this team needs to do is find some guys that are here. So they brought in Daniel Thomas, who's a veteran, who looks really good. And I could not say enough how McNeil Warren, who missed most of the spring, now he's out there and you just this dude is just better than most of these guys out here. So it's an uphill battle for the rest of the safeties, but McNeil Warren looks to be as advertised.
I'm going to give him a chance to answer a question that we're going to face in the second hour, the YouTube hour. He's going to be gone for, and that's the Warren Sharp list, because I'm anxious to see where he stands on that, and you'll be gone at that point. Later in the YouTube show, we're going to talk about Warren Sharp put out his list of best defensive front sevens. Mm-hmm. And I think to everyone's surprise, the Browns were number 6, which shocked me just because you'd think that if you lose one of the best to ever do it, it's going to show up. But he must believe that Verse is going to maintain this Browns defensive front. Do you think number 6 is too high, too low, just right?
I think it's mostly just right. Now, at this current moment, it's not because their top 4 defensive tackles are hurt.
Right.
But yeah, I think Jared Verse has been really good. I think Alex Wright has been very good. We'll see, if Isaiah McGuire can take a leap. But when Malik Collins is healthy, we saw last year, he's awesome. And Mason Graham, he missed yesterday. I'm not sure what the significance of it is, but he has had an outstanding camp. He goes on that list of 5 or 6 guys that are who do you notice? Mason Graham.
Really?
So Sam Kamara got carted off yesterday. Mike Hall's been out. He'll be out in a couple more days. I think he should be back by next week, if not earlier. He needs to play. Obviously, It's kind of a make or break for him. But if Collins and Graham are healthy, then I do absolutely think this is a top 10 defensive.
That's encouraging.
Now, it's not the ceiling of last year because the best player on the planet's no longer on
and
the
Myles
team.
Garrett's new team's number 3 on that list. So he elevated them as well.
We'll discuss that in depth in the second hour. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that while we were here. It's always hard to keep track of where Tyvus is on his win total. He's up to 7 or 8 now.
No, he dropped. Down. It was 8, now it's 7.
Oh, okay, yeah, 7, 8.
One day at practice
8.
was all he needed to see.
Which is kind of funny.
Story.
Is he completely wearing rose-colored glasses? Because when I see him talk about 8 wins, I squint at this roster and I can't get to 6.
I mean, if you talk, the defense really is that good, and Judkins gets running, and some kicks and bounces go your way. It's not a crazy thought because
Okay.
six-ish is not that much.
But
However, like what I see from the quarterbacks indicates that either one of them is the plan to get to the top of 27 draft. Right. And like there's little things you can do. You can keep 4 quarterbacks. You can keep 6 safeties. You don't ever have to come out and say that you're tanking. But
Yeah,
you
no,
can
it's
say,
tweaks. Yeah.
Okay.
But you're sabotaging
by
your team.
November 1st, like 30 guys on this team are going to be first or second year players. And so the hope is that 8 of them are just like, wow, this is our core. And they're on their way to that.
Yeah, they are.
But
on their
the
way.
quarterback play has been dreadful.
Yikes. Okay, not what we wanted to hear from Zach. We're gonna go Cavs next. Are we gonna keep
Let's
that
do
Cavs topic?
Let's do Saccone next. We didn't talk
Wanna
about him
do
going
Slade?
to Boca.
No, I got something else.
Oh, you
Oh,
got
perfect.
something else. Break and then
Break.
surprise segment on the other side. I don't know what we're going to talk about. Only Earl does. You will find out as we find out in a minute and a half.